Hi, this is Anthony with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Sunday, the 22nd of September. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which ended the week on a bad note in the sense that there was no interest rate cut here, and also seeing the market fall back below the 50-day moving average and resting on the floor of that rising trend channel from this time last year. 82.20, the nominal level there, and end-of-day close back below that. We could risk a move down to the floor of the channel there from back in May at 80.10, which is just above the 200-day moving average. The reason for the relative gloom is the double failure of the RSI in the mid-50s. That tends to be one of the worst setups. You can have even worse than actually an RSI failure at neutral 50 because it indicates a bull trap. This stage, early and end-of-day close back above that May resistance line, 83.70. Really delaying the downside scenario or the sell into strength scenario. Moving on to the DAX, and here also not great in the sense that we've had a bull trap double top there for September so far through 19,000. Gap close sell signal there, and really below the top of that gap there, 18,800. The likelihood is that we'll test the floor of that rising trend channel from back in October. And the 50-day moving average at 18,300, but I suppose not the end of the world still at these levels, given that we're so near to the highs. Moving on to the Dow, and here the best of the bunch, obviously, with the interest rate cut there. Still the possibility of testing the old resistance as new support, so 41,500, and ahead of a potential move to the top of that channel there from this time last year at 43,000. By the end of next month. If we do break down below 41,500, it's the 50-day line and the old July resistance line there, 40,600, which are on the cards. Moving on to Bitcoin, which has been improving since the interest rate cut in the US, but still the 200-day line there, 63,800, the block, as is the late August resistance there. Upside maximum at the moment, 68,000 at the top of that channel from back in February. Otherwise, it's a test of the 50-day line, 59,200, which is the favored destination at the moment. Moving on to gold, and here you can see that we've made great progress here. Possibly can actually get up to the top of that rising trend channel from December 26.90 by the end of this month. We were looking for that by the end of next month. The longer we stay above the initial September resistance there at 26.20, the greater the chance of 26.90 by the end of this month. But a great move there on gold. Moving on to the stocks, and a requested stock to start, and one which was insisted not to be in alphabetical order. So we have Wildcat Petroleum first. Here you can see that we've broken above recent neckline resistance, and also basically filled that gap from April around 0.21 pence. End of day close above 0.21, and we're looking for the shares to hit the top of the range really from back in February, 0.34, 0.35 by the end of next month. The other positive, or positives here, is the way that we have both the 50 and 200-day lines both rising. That suggests we're in the run-up to a golden cross, which I suppose could happen sometime during October. And as we know, the run-up to a golden cross is the strongest part in the cycle, so we could see Wildcat move, especially on an end-of-day close through 0.21. But it looks as though we've already done enough to map out the floor in the shares. On to Altyn, which is seems to be rising and rising at the moment. Previous enlarged target there up to 231. Current situation is that we're looking for the top of that rising trend channel from back in March. That's pointing to around £3.30, which we're looking for as soon as the end of next month, while we remain above the floor of the latest gap there and the floor of that rising trend channel around £2, but ideally we stay on the right side of £2.20, which is recent support for the shares. V-shaped bull flag breakout also helping the cause. On to Bowleven, which I managed to avoid on many occasions in the recent past, but it looks as though finally the shares have delivered the goods. Unfilled gap to the upside on Thursday and follow through on Friday. The view at the moment is that while we're above the post-August resistance there at 0.22, looking for up to 0.45 by the end of next month. In terms of the reason for that, I suppose it's the TR1 from the company there, with a stake going up to 72%. But anyway, the charting is a separate issue to that. Moving on to Deltic, and here, nice bounce off a rising trend channel base. Initial target here, the 50-day line there at 10.25, looking for 14 pence at the top of the channel by the end of next month, assuming that we stay on the right side of 8 pence. Heiq has been a bit of a problem child over the recent past, but we found support at the basically floor of that channel there, so around 5.5 pence above that, looking for the top of the gap there, as high as 9 pence by the end of next month. But the key here is holding the bottom of that gap. Not in alphabetical order again is Greatland Gold, and here great progress after the end of day close, back above the floor of that gap there, and also the old support there from April, 5.5 pence above that. We were looking for the shares to fill the gap up to 7 pence. Best case scenario target now is up to 8.5 pence at the top of that post-May triangle, and that is around the 8.5 pence area. Ideally be on the right side of 6 pence, 2-day support in the meantime, and get back above RSI 50 versus 49 early next week. On to Global Petroleum, which has been championed here quite a lot, and good to see that this one we were ahead of the curve with the run-up to a golden cross, which was already spotted. Above 0.09, we were looking for 0.14, which we narrowly missed on Friday. Above 0.14, looking for 0.21 by the end of next month. But the key here is actually probably staying above the late August resistance of 0.11. Moving on to stock, which apparently doesn't have to raise any money, and therefore the shares are going through the roof. Vertical move since that notion hit the market, and above our third target there at 0.12, looking for 0.19, ideally by the end of this month now. But an amazing move there at Mobile Streams. Just shows what can be done if you can pause the fundraising on a small cap company. Moving on to Neo Metals, and here the hope that the shares would bounce around 1.2 pence has come to pass. In fact, we closed well above the 1.25 pence issue price that we had back in the autumn. Neo, an initial target here now, the retest of the old August resistance around 1.7 pence. Best case is up to 2.4 pence, and that December resistance line projection by the end of next month, which I'm sure fans of the shares will be hoping for. If you're cautious, maybe you wait for an end of day close above 1.4 pence recent September resistance, but in the aftermath of the Golden Cross, looks as though we are on our way. On to Proton Motor Power Systems, and here just the first sign of bullish divergence turning the shares around. Lower lows for September, but RSI's remained at the ultra low levels. Initial target here 1 pence, and maybe filling out the gap up to 1.4 pence by the end of next month if we stay above the old support on the way down at 0.55. It's quite a tight criteria there for the shares. For just the first signs that it's a turnaround in Reabold, we've obviously had many false dawns here, but a falling wedge here, end of day close above 0.064, and we'd be looking at the shares heading back to the 200-day line at 0.075, but I suppose here depends how much you believe in the shares being traded well below their NAV or their cash in the bank level. On to Shoezone, and here the shares exceeded our initial target there at £1.87. Above that, we were looking for £2.15, which we're hoping for by the end of this month. There is the stumbling block of the 200-day line, but this looks a bit like Mobile Streams in the sense that it looks like the market's just on the back of that and will keep on bidding it up. Same kind of turnaround in Sosander is what we're looking for. Got a gap higher in August. We've broken a line of resistance there from back in December on the 50-day line at 9.5 pence. Initial target here, 12 pence, hopefully by the end of this month. 16 at the top of that February triangle by the end of next month. Finishing off with a requested stock, and it's Uru Metals, or Uru Metals. Here we've had a V-shaped bull flag, and a gap, unfilled gap to the upside within that, at least while we're above the top of the gap there, £1.20, looking for a fresh move to the upside, perhaps as high as £2.60, although obviously this is a very illiquid situation, probably a very wide spread as well. So the best you can say really here is that above the floor of the gap there, or at least the top of the gap, £1.20, looking for a move up to the £2.50 plus area by the end of next month as a best case scenario target. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.